It's Saturday evening. It's time to talk about the very best comic books in the entire world with our good friend Drew. How you doing?
I am fantastic, Wes. As you know, it is college football Saturday. First big college football Saturday. Watching Ohio State in Texas. But it's halftime, so let's talk about the very best comics of the week.
Yeah, let's see if I can put you to sleep with our comic book, because we do need to discuss Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 20 this week from Jonathan Hickman. And every time Ultimate Spider-Man builds up some momentum, and it feels like Jonathan Hickman's moving the story forward, we're going to start getting more Spider-Man because he's been basically lacking for 2 years now. We get one of these issues where there's nothing going on whatsoever. Another dinner party. Peter Parker and MJ having a date with Harry and Gwen Stacy. And if you like 9-panel grids of close-ups of people's faces, this is the comic book for you. But I've never met a person that actually likes that comic book.
But we get Mary Jane punching Gwen. We get some action, and when it's not enough. We have to remember that for all intents and purposes, Ultimate Spider-Man is a car that's just never left the garage. It's a dead car. These issues do not matter. This series does not matter. And to be honest, we have to remember most of the series, like you just brought up with this recent issue, has been a lot of talking heads. Maybe a panel or two of action. We get more talking. And maybe every other issue, you'll see Spider-Man show up on a page talking. And hey, I'm a comic book writer, and I understand that there needs to be dialogue. But when you're dealing with superheroes, when the countless talking heads pages outweighs any form of action or actual drama, it makes very boring, tedious, and non-enjoyable reading experience for $5+.
Well, when you talk about, there's action because there's a punch, there's an implied punch. Yes, Gwen Stacy is shown to be on the ground after Mary Jane was getting aggressive with her, and there's a panel that says blam, but there's no actual punch in the fucking story. They don't even show you the one thing that happens off panel.
This is just going to go down as a nothing burger, this whole series and this whole issue. This series, when it's all said and done, it's just a real shame. I mean, you have two great creatives involved, and they essentially made a boring talking head comic. I don't know how this can be rereadable in the future, this issue or the run. There's nothing to entice me to come back, especially the art. Look, Marco Cicchetto, he is a great artist. There's no question about that. But, I mean, let's do the math here, Wes. He probably did, a third of the issues of the series? And most of the pages were talking heads. That's a real shame. If I want to spend money, a bunch of talking heads, I'll just watch The West Wing. Why would I want to spend $5 on this when I could be watching that for free? I don't get it.
Well, and the only reprieve you get from the stupid dinner party conversation that really goes nowhere is going back to the apartment with Richard explaining to Uncle Ben that he's Venom, which feels like not a very smart move. And then J. Jonah Jameson showing back up with MJ's mom and there being sexual tension. I mean, I like Cocoon, but it ain't that fucking interesting.
No, it's not. And yeah, I agree with you. Cocoon's a fine movie, but and unfortunately, they lack Wilford Brimley here. I don't believe Jonathan Hickman had much of a plan. And it's really playing out here in the book. He had little ideas that were probably made up probably 8 to 12 issues. And now he's spreading out those little nuggets across 24 issues. And we're seeing he did not have a lot. And this probably just wasn't his focus. He probably was not interested in doing this book. And it shows.
That is a way to describe Ultimate Spider-Man and nugget. Of what? I'll let you guys decide that. Let's talk about the really good comic books, because not everything was boring as that. We do need to talk about Nemesis Forever. Number 1, Mark Millar writing, Matteo Scalera on art, coming back for the final chapter of the Nemesis saga in Millar Ward comic books. And this one wholeheartedly gets my pick of the week. This is the best paced balls to the wall comic book that you're going to find this week. We have the destruction of an entire city going on, and this weird, distorted, evil version of Batman using all of his power and wealth to his advantage to try and instill fear into everybody and enrich himself in the process. This is an absolute amazing start, and Matteo Scalera fits right on Nemesis like you wanted to.
I agree with everything you just said, Wes. This is my absolute pick of the week. Nemesis is back, baby, and he's taking 0 prisoners. But certain law enforcement agencies may have a way to possibly take him down. What is it? You got to read to find out. Yeah, and I agree with the art in this is glorious. It's a return to the form of the first 2 volumes of Nemesis, and it's so bloody well done. This issue is fast-paced, action-packed, violent, insane. Everything I want in a comic book, and everything Ultimate Spider-Man isn't. And this is the strongest it recommends for Nemesis Forever #1. If you have a testosterone deficiency, this book will cure it.
Absolutely. It will put hair on your balls, and that ain't a bad thing.
No.
We're also going to recommend Huck, Big Bad World #4, Mark Millar writing, Raphael Albuquerque on art. It's almost hard to believe that Mark Millar is writing both of these characters because Huck is the exact antithesis of everything that Nemesis is. He's good. He's kind. He treats everyone well. He's always out there lending a helping hand. He's got his own problems. He wanted to get married. The lady ended up leaving him for a terrible guy. And Huck, Big Bad World, really does show a side of Mark Millar that I think a lot of us forget actually exists.
Yeah, and it really just shows the talent that Mark Millar has compared to a lot of other creators in the industry, where he's able to do something so insane, buck wild like Nemesis, and tell a very true superhero story here with Huck. And I agree with you. Huck represents what all of us could be and should be, and he's got that Billy Mumphrey cockeyed optimism, and that's who he is. And he sees the good in everyone. And this issue, it's a callback to issue 1 when he has a confrontation again. They bring back up the girlfriend that broke up with him and what her boyfriend had said to Huck privately. And it breaks your heart when you hear the words that he's told Huck, and you see the pain on Huck's face. And you really just see, you can tell this is a good person. And it shows you like why I seem like, man, I don't know if I could write this as well as Mark Millar does, because he's able to reach in there and he knows who this character is and he puts it out there on the page. Huck's a great person. And that is just so hard to write because everything that happens to him, I don't know if I react the same way. I don't even know you would react the same way, but it just shows you the person that Huck is. And not only do we have that going on, we have his mom and revelations about his mom. And let's just say things get very interesting at the end. I'm not going to say what happens, but it gets pretty explosive. I do recommend this. It's a strong recommend for a Huck. If you're not reading this, check this out. It will really change your opinion on heroes and Mark Millar because he is fantastic.
Yeah, it's nice to see when Mark does something like this or Superior that really show you how much he really loves that aspirational hero as well. Gonna also recommend Geiger #17, Jeff Johns writing, Eduardo Pansica primarily on art, although we do get a few pages at the end from Gary Frank. And I think Eduardo Pansica does a pretty damn good job here as we're visiting a new place in this unnamed universe. There's an enormous explosion. Tariq got shot into the sky and landed near a prison. He's found. They believe he's part of Goldbeard's pirate crew or something like that. Next thing you know, he's being interrogated. And he's discovering something clearly has changed about him. The seeds planted for some really big mysteries as far as this Goldbeard guy. What is he doing there? And what has actually been buried underneath this prison? And we also get some crazy scenes at the end with Junkyard Joe.
Yeah, we're really seeing the skill of Jeff Johns here in this issue, how he's able to, this new arc, what he's setting up with these mysteries. And I absolutely love it. Yeah, so we open with Geiger, depowered, found in a crater, and tossed in this deep bunker prison. But could this prison and its inhabitants reveal the mystery of what happened to Earth in this downfall? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. But just know Geiger is now at the bottom of the totem pole in the pecking order and in regards to power, and he's up against guys who clearly overpowering him right now. The art in this is terrific. The pacing is great. The dialogue is solid. And I agree with you. The mystery in this, the mysteries are fantastic. It's got me asking questions. It's got me anxious to read the next issue. And I can't wait for the next chapter. Strong recommend for Geiger.
Geiger does seem to pick up momentum every single issue. And our final indie comic book recommendation, TMNT Saturday Morning Adventures, #28. Eric Burnham writing, Dan Schoening on art. This time we've got the Turtles basically being presented the keys to the city. The mayor's giving them pizzas. Even Shredder, who's in handcuffs, is admitting it's great to see the boys doing so well in the city. Now, obviously, this can't be the real world, and it's revealed that there's like a giant black space octopus thingy that's got its tentacles on them and is showing them a world to keep them pacified. and then even starts messing with their brains. Thankfully for them, Splinter is not there, but he does need April O'Neil to help track them down for another fun adventure with the Turtles from the original cartoon.
Yeah, the first thing that came to mind was like the Matrix. They're kind of plugged into the Matrix, and as we're reading it, we're thinking, like you said, something's off here, something's not right. But then it slowly reveals, like, oh, okay, and when we see it, and when this thing does, what this thing does to the Turtles, and that only makes their situation worse. Who's going to save them? How are they going to get saved? You got to read to find out. Yeah, this whole issue plays out exactly like an episode from the original animated series. I truly hope dads and sons and daughters are enjoying this series, because it's a great entry point for kids into the world of Ninja Turtles and comics. Recommend for TMNT Saturday morning adventures. It's a fun all ages book, but it represents what all ages comics should be.
Eric Barnum's been kicking ass and taking names on that. Yeah, kicking ass and taking names on that book for quite some time. I was like, did I just say kicking names and taking ass? I was like, what is going on here? But I had it right the first time. Now, normally we would have a Marvel comic book or two to recommend this week, Drew, but that is not the case. And I think this week in particular, between the Mortal Thor, X-Men, Avengers, this was the worst week for Marvel this year.
I agree. I read most of the books this week from Marvel, and I wanted it to end. I'm just like, I cannot do another one. I really can't. The only one that came close to recommend was Incredible Hulk. Was the Hulk, and that was a coin flip at the same time. But this is a very, very rough week for Marvel, and I'm hoping next week is better. We all need it. The industry needs it.
Thankfully, DC put in a better effort, and we're certainly going to recommend Green Lanterns number 26, Jeremy Adams writing, V. Ken Marion on art, the third chapter of the Starbreaker Supremacy. I believe that's the name of the big story arc we got here. But we've got the entities beyond the source wall, bringing the Green Lantern Corps, at least what's left of them, in there. The entities don't have the nicest plans for the Green Lanterns, but Hal Jordan is able to turn it around, and we get a great moment of fan service. V. Ken Marion knocks it out of the park. Each lantern gets to attach themselves to one of the entities and become, I guess, the avatar of that emotional part of the spectrum and come out and start fighting the Starbreakers. This thing was an absolute dynamite comic book. I really, really enjoyed it, and I think V. Ken nailed it.
Yeah, me too. I really enjoyed this issue. The event, this Green Lantern event, it kicks into high gear in this issue. Like you said, the lanterns are behind the source wall. They face off with the different avatars of the emotional spectrum, and let's just say some quid pro quo may be happening from these confrontations. And as we get near the end, the real action kicks into high gear, and it's not short of any dismemberments at all. This issue was just a lot of fun, and this event has been an absolute blast to read. V. Ken Marion in this issue, he really brings out that dynamic and those dynamic and energetic panels for your eyes, and your eyes are always moving and taking everything in. That's the way it should be in an engaging comic book. Recommend from Green Lantern number 26. This is a great event.
Having a whole lot of fun with that. It's not quite to Blackest Night levels, but we got some of that kind of fan service and some of those feels, which I definitely enjoyed a lot. Also going to recommend Superman number 29, Josh Williamson writing, Dan Moore on art. You've got Superboy Prime taking the real Superman essentially through a trip through the multiverse, breaking glass and doing all kinds of stuff. And Dan Moore nails every inch of every page in this comic book. He took it to another level this week. And if you're a huge fan of Superboy Prime, you're going to love this because Josh Williamson has him playing out on every single level of this book. We finally get this big confrontation with the Dark Legion by the end. And shockingly, they're far more powerful than I could have ever imagined. We also get the recovery of Booster Gold going on here. This was an action-packed, awesome comic book as well.
As Lee Corso would say on College Game Day, not so fast. This issue, oh man, I was looking forward to this the most this week. It starts off strong. It does, with the reintroduction of Superboy Prime. It's funny. I'm all in. But the minute we get to the dark future, it turns into a bunch of NPCs in a row for 20 some odd pages talking to Superman about how bad things are. It's just repeated over and over and over again. It's just like, okay, I get it. things are bad. We got the first five times, first 10, 15 pages. And it really, it dampened my fun I was having reading this book. But I do agree with you, Dan Mora. He does a beautiful job here. There's one particular moment where you see like they're going through like the time tunnel or whatever. You see the warped universe. It's I think it's a double pager. It's absolutely beautiful and striking. So I will say this is a soft recommend. I'm going into this soft because I read an event like similar to this from Gary Frank and Jeff Johns about 20 years ago. They did the Legion. It's very similar, but it's still fine if you haven't read that. I recommend this if you haven't checked that one out. Stay for the Dan Mora art. I'll say that.
I recommend you just forget everything that frickin' Drew was saying there. He's out of his mind. This was a great comic book. Behind only Nemesis Forever. What are you doing?
No, I can't go with you down this path, Wes. You're going down the path I can't go down.
If you enjoyed this video talking about all the best comic books this week, but you would like more, I do want to remind you right now on Think Critical Patreon, as well as channel memberships, we do have the Hot or Not podcast with our good friend Jim, where we review lots of more comic books for 2.5 hours straight every single Wednesday. There's a link in the video description if you want to check out Patreon or channel memberships.